Well, it's that time again to talk about the upcoming council meeting. It takes place on the 27th, 6 o'clock, and it's right after Memorial Day. And I have Steve Barg here in the house, as well as Mayor Lois Teestrick.
Yes, good afternoon,
Nice to be
everyone.
here.
Or whatever day it is that you're going to watch us.
Hey, we're starting off summer here.
Yes,
That's
we
right.
are.
Well, it's at least getting a little warmer than it has earlier this
I
week.
know. Been a rough week.
Kind of miserable, but which is okay to have a council meeting when it's not nice out, because then, we're stuck inside.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, good point.
Anyway, all right. We have quite a few items to talk about, but Mayor, you wanted to talk about the farmers market first.
Yes, I'm very excited to let everybody know that Mackey has stepped up to do the farmers market this year. It will still be in the festival parking lot. Festival is still going to donate their yellow bags, but something happened through the state that Festival is not able to. I should back up just a little bit. Festival would have to have staff on board, and they can't afford this with working also. And then the state has some different rules that they have come up with, okay, to govern some of the farmers markets, or I guess actually most of them from what I've heard. So Mackey said, we'll step up this year. We got to find someone for next year. We only can do it on Saturdays, though, because we're limited as to staff also. We only have 5 people in the office. But we will take it on this year. So if you read your Hub City Times yesterday, on Wednesday, you'll see a synopsis of what happened. And call the Mackey office. You can call my office. We can discuss it more if you'd like. At least it's still going to happen on Saturday, which I think is real positive, because it could have gone away all completely. But then again, of course, Main Street has theirs on Tuesdays in Pick and Save parking lot.
Right.
So we do have 2 options, which maybe more people will come downtown on Tuesday. And of course, it's also Senior Citizen Day at Pick and Save. Now that farmers market is run only by Main Street. So they do all the things that happen with that farmers market. So that's my update with that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Sounds
sir.
good. I didn't know that was Main Street.
Farmers markets really add a lot to your community. It's a kind of a fun thing for people to enjoy and to shop at.
Correct.
You bet. I always like fresh vegetables.
Yeah, yes.
Because I can't grow them.
Yeah,
Me either.
Neither.
No wonder we're talking positively.
Right,
right.
definitely.
Yep.
Positive you can't grow them.
Absolutely. Yeah, positive.
Alrighty. And Mayor, you're going to have a proclamation.
I am honoring Brooks Hinson. He is a gentleman who is all-star basketball for the state. He went to school in Marshfield. He actually, his last day of school was last week, if you're watching it on Sunday or Monday. But we're going to do a proclamation because this is something real important. The young athletes, if they do something really outstanding, like number 1, we want to give them credit where credit is due. So I'm excited to meet this young man, do a proclamation, and hopefully you all can watch that too.
We've had a lot of that in 2025. We had Ava, and we had the Columbus basketball team, and we've had a lot of young athletes to honor and really recognize.
Yes, and we're just happy to do it because it's good for our community.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that'll be under your comments right at about the top of the agenda. Hopefully his family can join him, and as well as the council.
Correct.
All right. Well, it's going to be then your update, Steve. So what's happening?
Well, we have a meeting coming up on Thursday, May 29th, Tom, and it's going to be, the CDA will be joining the council. It will be a council meeting, but the CDA has been asked to come along. They've been part of this from the beginning as we look at redeveloping the Weinbrenner property on 3rd Street. I've been working with a company called J. Jeffers out of the Milwaukee area. They were the firm that we picked to work on this project with. They have a lot of experience in dealing with renovations of older buildings for mixed use and housing, affordable market rate housing. So we're going to have them here in person, and they'll be doing a presentation that night at 6 p.m. on Thursday, the 29th, here at City Hall. Presentation about what they're looking at, the type of project they're envisioning that they think would work here in our community from what they know, and they'll take questions from the council and from CDA, and we'll talk about the next steps to try and make this thing happen. So I'm looking forward to it. It's been a while since we've even talked about the Weinbrenner project at the council level, and I think it'll be fun to get caught up on what the opportunities are and have a time of Q&A for really seeing where we want to go here with the
Correct.
project.
Yes, very excited to get this off the ground and running.
Sure.
There are a lot of people wondering. They know it's a historic building. They know it's got a lot of potential, and it's going to take a lot of work, but we have a firm that knows what they're doing, and we're excited to hear what they have to offer.
Okay, so J. Jeffers was the firm that was chosen couple months
Yeah,
ago.
back in February.
Yeah, already February.
Yeah,
But
I know.
Yeah.
so are they going to bring what it could look like, or are we not that far?
I think they're going to show what it could look like. They're going to talk about the mix of uses, maybe what types of housing could be in there, how many bedrooms, what rental rates there might be, that kind of thing, and kind of a mixed project. And then they're talk about what it's going to take to get it to the finish line. And what you're going to hear is that they need a little bit of help from the city, which is not unexpected, given the costs they're facing to do the renovation. But hopefully it'll be received well. If there's some questions and things that are said by the council or CDA members that move it in a little direction different, so be it. That'd be great. Definitely want to get input from the officials here in Marshfield.
Who owns the building? Still the city then?
City does,
And
yeah.
they still will through this process? It's not the construction or the developer that would own it?
Well, the developer will own it at a point.
At a
Yeah.
point? Oh, okay.
We'll transfer the property to them at a point, and then the city will be out of it. The city's owned that building for
Oh, a long time.
a long, long time.
Yeah.
So
But, Weinbrenner's still in it, working today?
they're in it. Yeah,
Correct.
they're still building their new building in the business park. I need to get out there and take a look
Oh,
at it.
you wouldn't
It's been a
believe
little
it.
while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will not believe it.
70,000 square feet in a business park, and it's a great improvement to that park.
Okay. All right. So will it take place here at the City Hall?
Yep, City Hall, 6 p.m.
All right.
Same time as our regular council meetings. It's a Thursday night. Encourage people to either come to the meeting or maybe see it, covered by you and your team, Tom.
Okay.
But hear what's going on. Hear what the conversation is about what this project might be.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for that information. All right. Let's move to consent agenda. But if someone's looking at the agenda, I do have to ask, and I know you didn't highlight it, but there's a lot of minutes in here, and I think it's just some working on some back minutes, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have council asking a little bit
Yeah.
about this. It's not common. Throughout the year, we always bring the minutes of meetings to council for their review and acceptance. But, you look over a 7 or 8 month period, sometimes 1 or 2 or 3 kind of fall through the cracks. There's a couple of committees that, for some reason, we weren't getting the minutes from, and we're not pointing the finger at anybody. We want to make that right going forward so that we get them timely. But the council will see some minutes. Some of them go back a little ways, back in even into 2024, and they'll have a chance to review them, make comments. Truthfully, some of the items that were discussed back in those meetings have probably already come forward in some way, shape, or form. But we're going to try and be more on top of it in the future to make sure that the committee chairs, the committee secretaries are getting those minutes to us so we can put them in the next council agenda.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Board of Public Works looking to buy a new truck.
Yeah, let me start out by saying this truck will be financed through what we call our 701 fund. That's our internal service fund. So people wonder when we make these larger purchases, well, where did you come up with $100,000 or $80,000? We set money aside to replace equipment. So like when we buy a piece of equipment, then over the next 10, 20 years, we're putting in money into the pot so that when that piece of equipment needs to be replaced, there's money there. So it's a great plan for getting ready for future improvements that they're going to be. We know we're going to need to replace trucks. We know we're going to need to improve buildings. So plan for it, right? In this case, we have a 2001 truck that has about 55,000 miles on it. That doesn't sound like a lot, in 24 years, but it's a truck that's used for certain important things during the summer, especially. They help out with park and recreation with branch hauling, brushes, park cleaning, all those kind of things. And it's kind of hit the point now where the repairs are getting to be, worth more than they should be at this point. They've had a lot of trouble. They've had an issue come up, I think, recently with the hydraulic pump, and spent a lot of dollars and time on that. So it's at the point where they're recommending tapping into that fund, which we plan for the day that we have now to replace it. We went to a thing called VendorNet. We've heard a lot of talk lately about procurement. Are we following the procurement policy? Are we getting 3 quotes and all these kind of things? Well, VendorNet is somebody who actually does this for you. When you're part of VendorNet, they have access to all the bids coming in from different vendors across the state. And in this case, the recommendation that we're going to go with is from a company called the Ewald Automotive Group. The total cost would be about $85,000. That includes the body work that's necessary to make this the vehicle that we need for the type of use that streets and parks have. So recommending approval. The Board of Public Works found it to be appropriate, and we'll see if council agrees.
Okay. Well, most trucks nowadays are right into that cost just for the average.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you're
this is
looking for
nothing
a
real
truck
big.
now.
Yeah,
That's
the
for
50,000,
sure.
yeah.
I know,
the
it's
50,
just, it's amazing how expensive this stuff can be, but
Yeah.
this will help get them to where they need to. It was approved by Board of Public Works, just need authorization from the council.
And truthfully, for most of us in our private lives, if you have a vehicle that's 24 years old, we're probably experiencing the same thing where
Right.
the repairs and the maintenance are getting to be pretty high for what they're worth on a vehicle of that value.
Well, you and I are good at that. You had one.
I had one that, I still wish I had it.
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding me.
I had to.
Oh my gosh, where's
And
my?
I drive junk, so sorry. I had to say it.
I still miss my 2005 Saturn. I really do.
Well, that's
But
all right.
I try not to cry too often.
Gets me from point A to point B.
There you go.
Yeah.
To do, so. All right. Let's talk about, this is increase hours at the library for some part-time staff.
Yeah, Tom, I think the reason this is noteworthy is because we used to have a classification that of employee called casual, and we don't have that much anymore. I think about the time you were coming on board, Lois, we were kind of phasing that out. That was a position that we had because it's not really a permanent staff position, but sometimes you need people for a few hours here and there on irregular schedules. And so the problem was those individuals, don't get benefits like prorated vacation or sick leave. They weren't getting health insurance, whatever. We're trying to get people to either be permanent part-time or permanent full-time. And so the goal is to get people to the point where they're treated a little bit differently. So we have a parting of the ways with one of our casual employees. And what we want to do is Jill Porter, our library director, wants to throw a few hours at two other people to fill in. There'll still be cost savings. Even with the new hours, it'll still save money for the city. And that's the recommendation is to farm out 12 of the 16 hours that person was working, that casual person, to other existing part-time staff. And it makes sense. It seems like I said, it'll save money in the end, even with the part-time benefits, and it'll be good for everybody.
All right, just reading the memo, it looks like they'll save a little over $1,500
Yep.
annually
Yeah,
by
correct.
doing this.
Yep.
Okay, yes, any monies
It's good.
to look
That's
at
right.
this can always
Budgets
be
are tight.
That's right.
Yep, so we're being prudent with our money here.
Yep.
So, all right, let's move on. We're still under consent, and we're going to move down into a employment law selection.
Yep.
What's that?
We did an RFQ a couple months ago for labor law. Now, we have Hap Wolfram, our city attorney. He handles most of what we do. But labor law, is pretty specialized. You're talking about terminations, you're talking about grievances, you're talking with the unions, you're talking about benefits issues and contract negotiations with our police and fire unions. That's a specialty that our city attorney generally has recommended we have outside labor counsel. So we've had Stafford Law for the past 3 years. We did another RFQ, and this time we had two companies make proposals. And the selection committee is favorable to Von Briesen. That's a company we had prior to 2022. They do good work. The committee was comprised of the police chief, fire chief, a couple of council members, the HR director, me, and it was unanimous as to the choice for Von Briesen. So the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee agreed. They're a known firm. They're a highly regarded firm. And we'll see if the council wants to go back with Von Briesen.
All right, sounds good. We'll see if any discussion takes place over that. And the last thing, existing lease of city property and extension.
Well, we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier about Weinbrenner. And, we're so grateful that Weinbrenner is staying in our community. You probably hear this from people that they didn't leave for another community.
Correct. Yes, they're all really happy, and I speak to Jeff about once a month, and I just reiterate how excited we are. Actually, I sent him an email and said, "Have you seen the building?" I was there yesterday, he said. So he's excited too. Yes, everybody, take a drive out. You won't believe it, how great it looks already. Oh my gosh, I'm excited every time I go out. Something different, more walls, more this, more that. So yeah, it's going to happen just on the right timeline. I know it. Definitely.
They needed more space and they needed a
Yes.
building that was configured better, but they had offers from other communities.
Yes, they
that-
did.
that
Other
were-
states, yep.
Other states were courting them.
Right.
And yet they decided to stay right here in our community.
Yes, and we're just very thankful for that. Yes, absolutely. And their employees are even more thankful because they'll get a parking lot.
They've got a
They've
great,
never had a parking lot, so they're really excited about that.
They've got a great dedicated workforce.
Yes, they do.
They do.
Yes, they do.
So anyway, what this is about, Tom, is they expect to be done with the building in late November or December of this year. The new facility in the business park. But they know that after that, there'll be a 90-day roughly transition period to get out of that old building, move all the equipment and everything over to the new location. So They've requested an extension of their current lease, which extends otherwise on December 31st, through the end of March of 2026. And we talked about it at the Finance Committee. They were favorable. I mean, they've worked with us hand in glove with all the things that we've been doing in the past year. We've been getting, allowing contractors to look at it and appraisals done of the building. People have been walking through for tours. They've been very great to work with. And for another 90 days for them to occupy while they transition, I think we're all favorable to them.
Absolutely.
So we'll see if council agrees and extends the lease until the end of March of 2026.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you so much for that. And let's move in to our recommended action items. So if there are recommended, but these are kind of presentations. Value of the utility chair. Nick comes and brings that to the council.
Every year we get the value of the utility presentation, always with Nick. Sometimes one or more of the commission members will speak as well. And it's a good reminder. I think, Lois, you know this, we're very fortunate to have the electric and water utility provider that we do. We have very low electric rates, which is a good thing for our businesses.
Yes.
And they're a good team player with the community.
They are indeed. Yep. They plug us in.
Yeah, they do. And it's one of those things you don't think about it a lot. You have water, you turn on the faucet at home, or you flip on the lights, but somebody's making that happen. And when we have these terrible storms that we have sometimes, I mean, they're out there in terrible conditions dealing with power lines and stuff like that.
Well, that ice storm this last winter,
yeah,
they were out there.
Out there.
Oh boy, that was really. Some of the guys still bring that up. I mean, it was very scary because they had to saw down some of the branches.
Yep.
Of course, it's right on the power line, so they had to be really careful. And then it's slippery all over, and oh boy. But they did it. They did it all, and I wasn't surprised because they're just a great group.
Oh yeah, and they'll talk a little bit, I'm sure, about what they do for the community in general. Now they're under the Public Service Commission of the state of Wisconsin, so I mean, there's limits what they can do. But as they're able to, they try to help out with community projects. They've been helpful on things that have gone on at the zoo and other places, and we're thankful for whatever they can do to help make this a better community. So they'll do a presentation, and I'm sure it'll be a good one.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll take place on Tuesday then.
Yep.
Let's talk about this ordinance. It has to do with conditional use permits.
Yeah, the next two items we talked about at Plan Commission on Tuesday night. And this one, I mean, it's kind of like, well, okay, duh, right? About, maybe 7 years ago, the state of Wisconsin changed the law regarding conditional use permits. They changed it in a lot of ways. One of the ways they changed it that we don't talk a lot about but is important, people normally think of a conditional use permit. You have permitted uses, like if you want to build a house in a residential district, yeah. And or maybe build a factory in an industrial district, of course. Then there's prohibited uses. You can't build a factory in a residential district. Then there's a category called conditional uses where it might be acceptable, it might not. You have to look at the traffic, the parking, the noise, will it fit in? Well, back in 2017 and 18, the state decided that they wanted to make it so that if you're going to deny a conditional use permit request, you have to have some actual reasons. You can't just say,
nope,
we don't like it. You have to say, look, the traffic is going to be too much for that street, and it's been demonstrated to us that the street can't handle it or whatever. But something that came up that we didn't do anything with that we should have, at least on paper we didn't do it, is that there ought to be a public hearing now with what's called a Class 2 notice, where we publish it in the official city newspaper twice on back-to-back weeks before the Plan Commission hears the request. We've been doing that. We have not been violating state law as far as having the Class 2 notice. We've been following it. We just never changed our code. So this is truly the best example I know of what's called a housekeeping amendment. We're making the code match up with reality, and we're in good standing with the state. But we have not been violating the state law. We've been doing the required extra publication all along.
Where are these things located in the newspaper? At the back and a little line items?
Oftentimes they're not very, very visible.
Right.
And I know you and I have talked about whether we ought to be publicizing some of these things a little bit more.
Right.
The public notice that goes into the News Herald, it probably like this, but it meets the legal requirements that people looking for community announcements can find them.
And I have a lady who called me the other day and said there was another one in the paper because she knows exactly where to find it.
Yeah.
So that's great. So people do look at it. We don't have a lot of people that come for the hearings. We have had a couple, but and it's okay. But if they come and they voice their opinion, that's what we want to hear. And if they don't, that probably means everything's okay.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to say.
Sure.
Yep.
But generally, there's a letter that goes out to
Oh,
a lot
to
of
the-
the
yes,
the
neighbors.
nearby people.
individual. Yes.
So
yep.
regardless, they're getting that
Right,
too. So
right,
it's not just
exactly.
a notice, and they wouldn't, if they don't get the paper, they wouldn't know.
No.
They
s-
do.
They get a letter,
they
right?
do
And it
get a
goes to the
personal-
whole
right.
city, so that if
Right.
Right.
Tom, you live here and I live there, but maybe you don't like that because of whatever. So yeah, anybody can weigh in. Doesn't matter who they are.
But there was a time when we were building, we weren't doing it, but the contractor was building homes behind Walmart. And somebody who lives farther down on McMillan, on East McMillan, said, I wish I'd known about this. I'm concerned about the traffic coming from the intersection of McMillan and Central Avenue, and why didn't I get a notice? Well, you live like more than a quarter mile away,
Right.
maybe even a half a mile away. But if that kind of person reads the paper and they see it, they go, you know what? It's far away from me, but I'm still concerned about what happens where that intersection comes in at
Oh.
Walmart. I think it's a dangerous intersection, maybe. So it does give the opportunity for people who are following us to be able to find it.
All right, sounds good. And we have another one here. It's not the same thing, but something to do with an ordinance, right? Is that
Yeah.
code subdivision planning? I was trying to read it here while you were
Yeah,
talking.
it kind of came from. Let me give you a little background real quickly. For a long time, until really about a year ago, in our code it says that you're building a subdivision. You are responsible for paying the full cost of the street, sewer, water, and all that. Well, we came along, and now there's this idea that the state has come up with years ago called the mixed-use TIF district, which means that you can have a TIF district that can be partially residential and also partially industrial or commercial. So with the Denyon project last year, the Green Acres subdivision, we used that mixed-use TIF district to fund the infrastructure, which will get money back when they build houses, which they're doing.
Which they're doing a marvelous job
Marvelous
already.
job. They're
Wow.
cranking them out there. So we'll get money from the taxes. But to do that, Tom, we had to change the code to make it possible. And we said, we put a piece in the code that says, developers have to pay the full freight. However, if you're in a TIF district, then the city might be able to negotiate a payment toward the improvements. Well, that made sense to us. But then now we have other developers who'd like to build, and they're wondering if we might be able to throw a few dollars at the infrastructure to help get it off the ground. We can't, because we look at our own code that we amended last year, and it says, well, you can only change that if it's in a TIF district. They're not in a TIF district. So what we're doing here, the impetus for this was to say, look, the city reserves the right to help any developer through a development agreement to pay for part of the infrastructure. Eyes wide open, we're paying this and we're getting this as a result. That's not possible today. This code change would make that happen. However, if you look at it, you'll find there's a lot of other things that were changed at the same time. Some of them minor, because once you look at, it's like when you're looking at doing interior work on your house. Once you start working on the bedroom,
Oh boy, guess what?
you say, hey, you know what, the living room's not looking so good either, is it?
Nor
And
the
that's what
hallway.
happens when they
Yep.
started looking at section 19. They found some other things that needed to be corrected,
Cleaned up.
cleaned up,
Yep.
all those kind of things. And so most of the rest of that is pretty basic, but it's changes that needed to be made. But the starting point was to give us a chance to help out development that we don't have today.
So it's helping developers that are not in a TIF district.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Or may never
never be.
qualify to be in a TIF district.
Right.
And it doesn't mean we're going to do it.
No.
We still evaluate whether or not it's a good expense on our part.
Correct. Correct. Yep.
And I want people to know, tune into our broadcast today, that we're very judicious about when we provide help. We're not looking to throw money here and there. We want to help incentivize good development where it needs it, but this doesn't mean we're suddenly going to open the piggyback bank. The
Yeah.
piggyback? No.
Piggyback bank. Yep.
Piggyback bank.
Yeah.
It just gives us one more tool in the toolbox if we need it to help jumpstart something if we have to.
And a little different, like the Daniels edition, we own the land.
Correct.
So there's not really a developer on that, right?
No, we were the developer.
We are the developer,
We are the
which is a
developer.
unique.
Yeah, pretty
as well.
rare.
Pretty
and we
rare.
did that because we were having a hard time getting developers to build houses because of the economy.
Yeah.
Correct.
But we knew we needed him.
Right. Unfortunately, COVID hit right at that time.
Right.
Really
So it was a
timing.
bad timing. But there are a
Exactly
few
right.
that are here are selling again. I
There
heard
are.
Oh yeah,
One-
we've sold 4 in the last month and a half.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
so.
So
Yep,
that's
so
good.
This is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
slowly that subdivision will
it's
fill up.
absolutely-
There's not that many lots on there.
No, I think 14 or 15 are sold, and I think 10 of them, either have houses or they're in the middle of building
Yeah,
houses.
so all of a sudden
So all of a sudden, it's just
it'll be there.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
kind of how it works, so that's
Yep.
good. All right, one last item you had highlighted had to be with a ordinance regarding weeds.
Yeah, this is involving No Mow May, and I don't know how long it's been that we began the No Mow May.
This is our third year.
The third year?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yep.
thank
This
you.
is our third year.
And
Yep.
it's about the pollinators, and you know that it's good for pollination if you don't mow during May, and some people sign up for this. I don't know how many do it. You're supposed to register with us, but every year you got Tim Rasmussen coming back to the Board of Public Works and saying, "Do you want to continue it?" And okay, let's talk about it again. The thought was, if we really are committed to doing this and we think it's a good thing, let's just put it in the code. Let's just say that from May 1st to the 31st, here's the rules. Lay them out very clearly, what's expected of the homeowner, and be done with it. So that's all this does, really. It kind of confirms what we've been doing since 2022.
Okay. I just didn't have a chance to really read through it. Does that mean maybe they don't have to sign up for it? I guess.
Well,
you
yeah,
may not-
right. Like
but
Tim has said at the meeting.
Once it's there, it's
Correct.
It's
Yeah.
like a permanent thing that we won't go
Yeah.
cite people.
Correct. And actually, you
between
didn't
those
even
months.
have to sign up this year. You could if you wanted to. Like,
Okay.
we didn't sign up, but we put a sign in
A
our
sign.
yard.
Yeah, I've seen
yep.
signs
so
around
that,
town.
So then, so our yard has got the No Mow May, which you
May.
can't hardly
Yeah.
see anymore. It's getting very close to.
Oh,
You
very
won't see the
close.
sign anymore.
Uh-oh, you need a
But
bigger
May
sign.
31st is coming real
You better get
fast.
more running.
Wow, next Saturday. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it goes fast. But you
Yes.
know, this week the lawn mowing slowed down,
Yep.
Correct. Yes, sir. It
Because
did.
of the cool
Yep, because
weather.
of the cool weather. Yep.
which is okay with me.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
know, Tom, we have 2 minutes left. Maybe it's a good time to touch on some of the exciting things happening here.
Oh, boy.
I mean, we're starting summer.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you have a breakfast coming up.
We do have a breakfast. First off, Thursday we are going to turn the fountain on at
Yay!
Wenzel Family Plaza.
That's right.
And that'll
Excellent.
happen between 3 and 3:30. And then Friday morning is the mayor's breakfast at the fairgrounds. So come out from 5:30 to 9:30 and have a great breakfast. And then Saturday at 11 o'clock we'll have a parade. There's going to be a craft show downtown. There's going to be other activities. There's going to be a band at Nuts Deep 2 at 4 o'clock, and another one at 7 o'clock. There'll also be another band down at the fairgrounds from 4 to 8 on Saturday evening. We're just going to have a big celebration
Oh, yeah.
for Dairy Fest. So we're very excited to have this come off again. I can't believe it's another whole year.
Yeah.
I don't know where the time went, but it's just it's great. Absolutely.
And then from there, it just goes on to the Vandehey Waters
Yep.
and Hub City Days and Central Wisconsin State Fair. It's going to be a great summer.
Absolutely. And
So
the Wenzel Plaza has all their booked Friday night
concerts?
Yep, concerts are all
my
booked
gosh.
completely full. So that's great, except for the week of July 5th. Because obviously, July 4th, 5th, that's
Yeah.
kind of but other than that, so come on out and enjoy the summer in Marshfield, and we will see you hopefully on Tuesday.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully the weather cooperates with
Yeah.
all these fun activities.
It will, definitely. I already talked to him.
Yeah.
yeah, great. A shout out to everybody who works on the Dairy Fest.
Yes.
To Nikki Anderson for what she does to get the concert set up in
Absolutely.
the
And Mackie getting the breakfast together, just
Yep.
everything about it, and then the parade. Yes, we'll see you all when we see you.
Sounds good. All right, thanks. Everyone can join us for our council meeting on Tuesday, the 27th
Yep.
at 6 o'clock. Thanks for joining us here on our council preview program.